Hi guys, how are you? Uh, Hope you're doing okay today. I'm doing good. I had an amazing death here, and we all know and love her. Kathy, and she had been scheduled for a while, and I've been very excited to do this interview today. Before we get started, I'm going to say hi to everybody and um, introduce her after I do. Um, Now, again, this live it'll be talking about bullying and addiction and recovery. And I just want you all to know that and self-harm. So just a little notice. Okay. All right. So Lee takes the trash and recycles out, puts out a variety of finger foods and snacks, soft drinks, and various waters on the table. Puts some Oreo Tootsies and milk, white, dark, and milk chocolate fountains, pretzels, marshmallows, and fruit. Welcome to Diamond Painting with NMD Kenny. Help yourself. Come on in, grab a snack, and hit the like button on the way to your seat. Thank you, Lee. As Kara said, we can now officially start the live. So, we had Rich. Hi, Rich. How are you? Helen, how are you? Thank you for coming. Uh, um, We had Lee and Lenore. Thank you, Dad, for being here. Kara, how are you, Miss Kara? Thank you for being here. And we had Angel. Hi. How are you, Miss Angel? And we had Mia. Hi, Mia. What's up? I messaged you earlier today. And we had Dale. Hi, Dale. I'm happy to see you here. Thank you for coming. You were bullied in high school, Helen. I'm very sorry to hear that. And I'm very sorry. I know a lot of people who were, and I don't stand for that at all. Hi, Miss Eve and Christopher. Thank you for coming. Sarah Ann. How are you guys today? I'm gonna give people a little bit to come in, but while we do that, how about hi, Tracy. Thank you for being here. I was about to message you to see if you were going to come. So, as I said today, it's going to be kind of it's going to be a good talk. I talk to Kathy a lot, and I mean a lot, and she's very interesting to talk to. Thank you, Helen, for the heart. Yes, I love the heart. I had come to accept them. Maybe I shouldn't, but I do. That made me feel good, so thank you. Hi, Marie. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I know Kathy does. So, is Shay here? I didn't think Shay entered. Where did she go? Hold on. Well, hi, Shay. You snuck right down me, girl. How are you? Oh, well, okay. That's not my job. How are you, Shay? Thank you for coming I talked to you earlier. I didn't know she'd be done in time to be here. She's been out doing some last minute Christmas stuff, I'm sure, as we all are. Okay, well, I am going to invite Kathy onto the stage. If you're ready, give me a thumbs up. Are you ready? All right. Here she comes. Hi, Kathy.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. I'm having a pretty good day.
Well, that's good. That's
Yeah,
good to hear. And I always like to hear that. I know some days are kind of hard for you, so I like,
yeah, some days are.
yeah, as they are to me, that we just gotta get through them. That's all we can do.
Yep.
Everybody's saying hi to you.
Hi, everybody.
Yeah, they're all happy to see you here. And you're getting some hearts. So, what's your day been like today? What you been doing today?
I had to get up early and get dressed and everything because I had a doctor's appointment. And uh, I used like medical transportation, and they picked me up a half hour early. So I was done with my appointment before it was even time for me to be there, really. So they were really good. They came back for me really fast, and I got home and I did some stuff in the resin works and just hung out for a while. And then I had to start getting ready. And then Eve came home and did my hair and put makeup on me and all of that. So now I'm ready.
Well, I want to thank you for being here. I know this is not really an easy thing for you to do, and I thank you for trusting me and not just me, my team, my crew. We've all taken steps to make sure that you're going to be feel love and comfort and at ease here. So I just want you to know that. So, um, let's start out with let's talk a little bit about who you are. Um, do you want to just take it away, or do you want me to ask some questions?
And I guess I can start.
Okay.
Um, I was born in 1960. No, that's not right. I was born in 1959. I'm 65 now, which is pretty unbelievable to me. Um, I was born in New Jersey, and I grew up in a wonderful house. It was really beautiful, and my parents were great. And I was very spoiled. I was an only child. Um, and things should have gone really well for me, but they things went off the track pretty early on. When I was 4 years old, I was playing with my friend who was five, and we had been making a fort in my bedroom. And she said to me, "Well, I found out that you're adopted, and that means that your real parents didn't love you and they gave you away. And the people that are, you live with now, they don't really love you. They just feel sorry for you and they're just taking care of you." And I said, "Yeah, I know, but I didn't." And it pretty much crushed me. Um, I felt a lot of shame about that, that my real parents didn't love me and gave me away. I didn't understand really anything about adoption other than what she told me. And I never told my parents. And I just kind of lived with it. And, things went on, but I kind of pushed my parents away from me because I really believed that they didn't love me and that they just felt sorry for me. And it's something that really affected the rest of my life. But then I got to kindergarten, and this is this part that's really, really hard for me to talk about. And I think to myself, I was thinking earlier today, do you really want to go on YouTube and talk about all this, knowing that how much drama goes on? But I'm still going to do it. I trust Tammy, and I hope that I can trust all of you. So I have something called polycystic ovarian syndrome, and it has many, many symptoms, and it's not extremely rare. But one of the symptoms of it is excessive facial hair growth. And it's something that started bothering me when I was 5 in kindergarten. People started to remark on it. And the older I got, the worse it got. And nobody really seemed to know what to do. My parents didn't seem to know what to do. My mother took me once for some electrolysis. But even by the time I was 9, that wasn't really a very viable solution. By the time I was like 11, I had to shave my face every day. And I know today, like, I see ads on Instagram and Facebook of women using an electric razor on their face sitting in their car. So people talk about it a lot more today than they did then. And I think it would have made a difference in my life if just one person had said to me, oh yeah, I have that problem too. This is what I do. But nobody ever did. And I got bullied a lot in school because of it. And people questioned my gender all the time. And it wasn't just kids. Full-grown adults did it too. And we're still doing it when I was like in my 30s. So that was very, very hard for me. And it just like added to the shame that I already had about the adoption thing. I think. So anyway, somewhere along the line, by the time I got out of high school, and I don't know how I ever graduated from high school, I spent a lot of time at home and not in school. But I started drinking when I was like 5, 6 years old. My parents used to have parties, and I would go around and drink everybody's drinks if they left them on the table. I remember one picnic we had at our house where we had kegs of beer, and I just sat at the keg with a cup, and people thought, oh, isn't that cute? She wants a little beer. She likes the beer, and just give it to me. So I think I often ended up passed out after those parties. By the time I was like 9 or 10, I was just going to the liquor store and buying Boone's Farm Strawberry Hill. Because at the time, liquor store owners didn't think that kids were coming in to buy liquor for themselves. They assumed if you were in there, you were buying stuff for your parents, and they just gave it to you. Take it home and go out in the woods and just drink by myself. In high school, I started smoking weed, and I wanted to go to culinary school. And my parents really wanted me to go to college first and then go to culinary school. And I didn't really want to do it, but I did it anyway. And I went off to college, which was only about, I don't know, a half hour away from where I live now. So it was only about an hour and a half away from where I grew up. And, I majored in drugs and alcohol. I may have gotten 8 credits for the year. They asked me not to come back, and I was fine with that. But then I started working in restaurants, and eventually my parents said they would send me to culinary school, so I applied. And it took a little while to get in. And I went there, and when I went, I was really sick. I had been taking, I would take any drug that came along. But one of the things that we used to take was caffeine pills. And I went off to school and I was so addicted to caffeine. And, like the equivalent of 25 or 30 cups of coffee a day. And I remember one of my first classes was nutrition. And after the class one day, the teacher said to me, if you ever come to my class like this again, I'm going to call an ambulance. So I stopped taking them right away because I definitely didn't want that to happen. But by that time, my hair was falling out, my teeth were all loose, I threw up all the time. And I got an abscess on my leg. And because I think my immune system was just so torn down, I was poisoned really I was septic. And I went to my friend pushed me in a wheelchair up to the school nurse. And she was going to get on the phone immediately and call an ambulance. And I was like, no, wait. I was like, if I have to go in the hospital, I would rather go home and do it. So call my parents, they'll come and get me. And they did. And it took me a year to recover from that. And when I finally went back to school, I just couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I was still using a lot. And, I had a therapist at home, but she really couldn't help me while I was at school. So I called this number to try to get a therapist. And somehow I ended up in the psych hospital. And I had to lie my way out of there. Again, my parents had to come up and get me. And that was the end of my culinary career, pretty much. It was just too hard for me. It was too physically demanding on me. So I came home. I think I probably went to work back in the Italian restaurant that I had worked in off and on for a while. And I was hooked up with some people that were all younger than me, but they were really the first people anywhere close to my age that didn't make fun of me and just accepted me how I was. And, I used with those people every day, and I really cared about them. And then finally, I felt like every time I used, I felt like that commercial where they break the egg into the frying pan and say, this is your brain on drugs. And I felt like that every time, and I hated it. I was truly stoned and stupid. And I didn't want to be like that anymore. My friends were all like, well, you go to rehab. You're the oldest. You go to rehab and then come back and tell us what it's like. And then we'll get clean too. And I was like, all right. So, my parents got me into a really good place. And I went there for 28 days and I came out and I haven't used since. And that was July 10th, 1985.
Wow.
When I first got out of rehab, um, I went to a meeting and I walked in. It was in a church basement, and it was on August 8th, I believe, and it was about 104 degrees in the room, and the smoke was so thick you couldn't see from one side of the table to the other, and the room was probably like, I don't know, 15 or 20 feet square, so it wasn't even that big. And this woman came up to me and said, would you like a cup of coffee? And I thought, she must be crazy. Ask me if I want coffee in this heat. But that person was Eve. And I think maybe a week later, I asked her to sponsor me. And we've pretty much been best friends ever since.
That's incredible.
So it was like I had to know Eve for like 3 or 4 years before I even talked to her about my face and that issue. And I know that over the years, she has probably run some interference around that, people asking her questions, because I couldn't even tolerate somebody seriously asking me a question about it. I just couldn't. I would just like melt into the floor if that happened and like run away. I just couldn't deal. So, yeah. I'm trying to think. So over the years, we've had a lot of fun in recovery. We've done a lot of service work together and gone a lot of places and met a lot of people. And it's been great. It really has. And I did kind of want to talk about, because I was such a mess when I was in grammar school and high school, I definitely did some self-harming. Like I was a cutter long before they were calling people cutters. And I would take a razor blade to school and sit in the English class and just cut my face or cut my arms. And the school didn't know what to do with me. They finally did tell my parents, like, she's got to see somebody or she can't be here. So that's when I first started therapy. But when I was 13, right before I graduated from 8th grade, my parents went to Philadelphia for the day for something. And I was home by myself. And for some reason, I got up, turned the TV off, let the dog out, put a pot with oil on it on the stove. And when it was smoking, just brought it over to the sink and poured it over my hand. And I walked over to the next door neighbor's house with like my skin dripping off. And her mother wasn't home. She was on some Boy Scout thing or something. So she had to get the other neighbors involved, and somebody had to take me to the hospital, then find out who my next of kin was so they could treat me. And it was a big mess. And I always said it was an accident, and it wasn't. It was a mistake, but it wasn't an accident. So, like when I graduated from 8th grade, I had a massive bandage on my arm and my hand. I didn't do anything that bad again. I still, punched walls and, things like that. But that kind of scared me out of a lot of self-harm after that. So, where am I now? Anyway, I mostly lived at home with my parents, and my parents didn't know that I was an addict. They didn't know that I used. I actually stopped drinking alcohol 2 years before I got clean because I had an episode at work and I almost stabbed my boss. So, and of course, it was the alcohol. It wasn't the other drugs that I was taking with the alcohol. So I just stopped that. And I've had a couple of relationships thrown in there. My last one, hopefully forever, was with someone considerably younger than me that told me they had multiple personality disorder, had me convinced that they had it, had a lot of other people convinced that they had it, and really made my life pretty miserable for about 10 years. They finally moved far away, and I'm pretty happy about that.
Well, we've done a couple of questions here.
Sure.
First of all, did you want to know how did your deep relationship with Eve help you stay clean?
Eve was just so into recovery. And she would go to a meeting every day and drag me along with her. And we did that for a lot of years together. She would just drag me along. I got really interested in service work. When I had like 60 days clean, I was asked if I wanted to be the secretary of the area. And I was just so flattered that they asked me, And the reality is they couldn't get anybody to do it. And that's often how it goes in service work. But that was my first commitment, and I loved that. And after that, we got involved in putting on the first New Jersey Regional Convention. And we just had so much fun.
Yeah, I've heard you talk about those.
And like people around here would say, they call Eve Miss NA. She was trying to separate the two fellowships, AA and NA, because NA was still fairly new. And when I got clean, there were only like 11 NA meetings in the whole state. And people still went to both fellowships. And she was really trying to separate the fellowships and get people to use the language that we use in NA and to think more like we think in NA. Other 12-step fellowships are very specific about what they're powerless over. And it's usually some specific substance like cocaine or alcohol. But in NA, it's all about the disease of addiction. And that includes everything. Which is good for me because there have been times in my recovery where I really questioned whether I was a drug addict. but I don't ever question whether I'm an addict or not. I know I'm an addict for sure.
Okay.
Mostly my thing is people. I can get addicted to people.
How so?
Like, I had a therapist that was telling me, "Oh, you should go to my chiropractor. She's great." And I was like, "Okay." And then Eve started going to her and saying, "She's really great. You should go see her." And I said, "All right." So I made an appointment and I went. And I became obsessed. Not right away. I think it took about 3 or 4 months. And then I was going to her 3 times a week, every week. I bought her some really extravagant gifts. And I cooked for her every week. I used to make food for her, and expensive food. and I realize now that she was wrong, really, for accepting all of the gifts from me. But it was also one of the best times of my life. I really felt like I had a purpose, because I hadn't worked in a really long time. I got disability, I think, back around maybe 1999 or 98, something like that. So I hadn't really done anything. So it gave me something to do 3 days a week. I would have to get up and go and have all the food ready and do all this. There were times that I was outside in the backyard with a piece of salmon on a cedar plank, grilling it before at 7 o'clock in the morning to take with me to my appointment. So she would have food. She never asked me for it. I just did it. And,
Did you realize that why you were doing it? Did you realize that, or?
yeah, I think she knew me pretty well. I mean, there was really nothing about me that she didn't know.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I don't really. I can't really be in her head.
Right.
I don't know what she thought.
Mm-hmm.
But then I ran out of money. And one of the first things that had to go was my 3 time a week visits and the gifts and all of that. And instead of kind of slowing down on that, I just stopped. Because for a while, after my mother died, I inherited the house and everything, and we sold the house and I got the money. And even I lived on that money, probably for about 7 years, 8 years. And we lived pretty well. I supported Eve in her business, and we just bought whatever we wanted. And one day I called to get money, and they were like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean, no? You don't have it." And I didn't know what to say. I didn't know what to do. And we decided we had to move because it was too expensive living in the county that we were living in. So I was finally old enough. We moved into an over 55 community. And yeah. Did I answer the question?
You did.
Okay.
Before I ask another, I want you to know that several people are saying that they're proud of you for telling your stories. Kara said you're a warrior, and she's proud of you for sharing this and telling her, as are a lot of people. So I wanted you to know that before we went any further. Okay, I was wondering, did you ever find out who your parents are? your biological.
No, but um, I did find out bits and pieces as I went along. Like there were times where my father would try to talk to me about the adoption, but I would just like shut it down right away. I just couldn't. But I did pick up things here and there. Um, when the week I got out of rehab, I had been on disability, and I the disability ran out, and I told my mother I wanted to sell my stock. And my mother said, okay, well, you have to go to the bank and go to the safety deposit box and get the stock certificates. And I said, okay. So I go to the bank and I go in there and they bring out the box. And I thought the only thing that was going to be in there was my stock certificates, maybe my birth certificate. You know, it was supposed to be my box. And I opened it up and this thing is like jam packed. And I'm like, what is all this stuff? So the first thing I open up is divorce papers for my mother.
Wait, what?
Like, what? And at this point, my parents had been married like probably 42 years by then. And I was like, what? And then the next thing I opened up is divorce papers for my father. And I'm like, why didn't I know this? And it says in his divorce papers that at the time of the divorce, he had a 2-year-old daughter. And it said her name was Carol. And I remember that. And, you know, so I put everything back in the box, took my stock certificates, went home, sold the stock, never said anything to my parents. But on Christmas Day that year, the phone rings. And I answer the phone. And the woman says, is Bill there? And I'm like, sure, who's calling? She said, tell him it's Carol. And I knew, instantly, I knew that it was his daughter. And so he got on the phone, and I go in the living room with my mother, and my mother says to me, we've been trying to figure out a good time to tell you about this, but you've always been so unstable. We never found a good time. I'm like, oh, okay. So that was kind of weird, but I got to meet her, and she had like 5 or 6 kids, and I got to meet her youngest son. They came to our house, and her son looked just like my father, and it was interesting. And even I went to visit her sometimes when we were on, doing NA stuff in the northern part of the state. She lived up there. We would stop and visit her. Eventually, she remarried and moved to the Poconos. And then I think she moved to Myrtle Beach. I know a bunch of her kids were down there. And by that time, she had a ton of grandchildren. And so we kind of, after my mother died, we like completely lost touch.
Okay.
But as far as I did look, I think maybe when I was about 35, a friend of mine and I started searching online, and we didn't get anywhere with that. I knew the hospital that I was born in. I knew what my mother's name was. And we couldn't find anything. The hospital that I was born in, I don't know if I think it just closed down. So the records were all moved. And I was just having a hard time tracking all that stuff down. And at one point I did hire an agency that was supposedly going to do work on that, but that pretty much came to nothing. I don't even know if they did anything or if it was a scam. I didn't want to find out when I was young because I was angry. You know, I was really hurt, but I was also angry. And it wasn't until I was 16, I think, because I knew that my birth mother was 16 when she had me. And then I understood that there's no way that I ever could have taken care of a child at 16. I couldn't take care of a child now, so I understood then a lot of the anger went away because I understood why she would do that. But it turns out that a relative of hers was supposed to adopt me. And they ended up getting pregnant like right after. And they decided they really couldn't afford 2 kids. So my father had met them. I don't know. This is always a weird part of the story for me. My father was at their house selling insurance or something because that's what he did. And I don't know. I was there and I guess they told him the story and he wanted to adopt me. And that happened.
Wow.
And by the time I was really willing to talk to them about the adoption, they don't remember anything because they were really old by then. They were, they just don't remember. So, I'm pretty sure that if my birth mother had even half the medical issues that I've had, she's not alive anymore. So I don't really even think about it anymore. And my adoptive parents were amazing people. My father was one of the most honest people I have ever known. My mother was one of the most talented people I've ever known. My mother was a great seamstress. She was an artist. She did oil painting. She did watercolors. She could do any kind of needlework, knitting, crocheting, any of that stuff. And she was a great cook. And I was always trying to do what she did. And I never could. I didn't have the patience. If I started a sewing project, I wanted to finish it that day. And, my mother would start a project and it would take weeks, She wasn't moving quickly like that with sewing. And I think I wanted to go to culinary school because I wanted to be a good cook like her. And over the years, I tried many, many different crafts and things to try to find to find a creative outlet for myself. Because I know the years that I had no creative outlets were not good years for me at all. So I'm really happy that, I found the resin. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a Dungeons and Dragons player. Dungeons and Dragons has been the love of my life since I first found it in 1980. Wow. And I rarely played. I played a little bit when I was younger, and then I just didn't. But I still bought all the books. I still read everything. And when my vision started to get really bad, I got rid of all the books. I gave them all away, and I just didn't think about it anymore. But during the pandemic, I went on YouTube and I found people that were playing online. And I started watching them. And I realized I really, really wanted to play. And part of playing D&D is dice. There's a set of 7 polyhedral dice that people use. And I wanted some. I wanted handmade ones because I had plenty of, factory made ones. But the handmade dice are between like $60 and $250 a set. And I was like, oh, well, I'm never going to be able to afford that. So I'll have to make them. And because I wanted to make dice, now we have the resin works, and I make other things. And of course, the first dice mold that I bought that was not cheap sucks. And I said it every day to Eve. I would make another set and I'd be like, this dice mold sucks. I can't stand it. So I'm pretty sure I'm getting a new one soon. And I'm very happy about that. Because I keep promising to people that I play with, oh, I'm going to give you dice. I'm going to give you a set of dice. And then I never show up with the dice. So.
Okay. And before we go any further, we're
Yes.
going to please put in the link to her Facebook group. And then I'm going to ask you about that in a little bit. We do have another question from Dixie. If you feel comfortable, would you mind telling us how you realized you needed help?
Okay, well, I've been in therapy since I was 13. On and off, mostly on. I had a therapist that I was seeing at a clinic, and I was seeing her 3 times a week and talking to her every day on the phone. Once again, I see now where I was addicted. And she had to leave very abruptly from that job. And I had to get another therapist. And I did. And the first time I saw her, she said to me, she goes, you're an addict, right? And you need to go to rehab. And I was like, well, yes, but I can't because my parents don't know. She's like, do you want me to tell them? And I said, I guess, because I didn't want to tell them. And she did. And that's how I got to rehab. And I've been in therapy for many years, but my last therapist was so good. And now things like EMDR are available, and she was really good with EMDR. And it has helped me so much in, like, I can talk about that, what happened with my friend telling me that I was adopted and not feel all of those feelings anymore. I can just talk about it. And it doesn't control my life anymore. We tried to do it, around a lot of the trauma from the bullying and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it has worked some, but it's really hard because that's such an ongoing situation for me, with my face. Despite the fact that I've had, like 2 or 3 rounds of laser treatments and stuff like that, it doesn't work on me. So I'm not in therapy anymore. My therapist left where she was at and opened a private practice, and she couldn't take Medicare yet. So I had to stop going. And that was, I guess, 2 years ago. But I'm still in touch with her because we're really friends too. Like, she has come here to eat. She's gone out with us. She's taken me out. The last time I saw her, she took me to a concert that one of her sons was playing the saxophone in. And she still can't take Medicare because there's such a backlog of therapists trying to get it in New Jersey.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll go back to therapy someday. I don't know. I feel pretty good.
That's fantastic. Kara, the principal painter, Kara, She wants to know, what do you think helped you the most in your recovery?
I think just having people that just accepted me for who I was. Um, they didn't know everything about me, but when you first go to a meeting, people already know something about you because you're really a lot like them. You're an addict just like they are. So they already know some of the stuff that, has gone on in your head and, what addiction is like. So that's really helpful. And
Okay.
just, being with Eve because Eve knows everybody.
Yes, she does.
And she just dragged me along and I just became, Eve's sidekick. And for a long time, I was perfectly willing to just let Eve talk. And I really didn't. It wasn't until my mother died. I was 47 or 48. That's when I started talking. And I started becoming more of, who I am today. And I started wanting people to know me.
Well, I didn't know that it's either in your corner, then thinking even for myself. It's either in your corner and she has your back, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah. And she is an amazing, amazing friend. And,
she does a lot to help you. And I think that, I know that speaking from experience to them, when someone helps you that much, there are no words to thank you. I mean, there's just no words. And I know Helen wanted you to know that you make stunning and beautiful things, and she's sending you lots of heart. And Rich said thank you for sharing, and he wants to know, what can we in the diamond painting community do to help support you?
I just, I love going on everybody's lives. I remember the first time somebody said hello to Eve and I on a live, and how excited we were. And I know that everybody loves Eve, and sometimes I feel so overshadowed by her because I'm not, I don't have this big personality and I don't know all the things that Eve knows. Sometimes I can be more quiet. But I just, I want the diamond painters to know, because, I don't diamond paint. I can't diamond paint. I have macular degeneration. My vision is extremely poor. I have tried. I've tried with even really big diamonds and can't do it.
I tried to. I'm trying. I'm still working on that.
I know.
I'm still working on that.
And I just want you guys to know that, I'm usually like fangirling over most of you.
Oh.
And still, even months after I've been watching everybody, and it's still always a big deal when we're asked to be on somebody's live. And
well, we all do love you. Not just Steve. We love you and we see you and we want to be with you because you're an extraordinary person. No one knows that. Sometimes I don't think you know that, but
sometimes I don't.
Well, I'm going to make sure you do, and we all are. Because you're loved.
Thank you. And I want
Um,
you to know that you may not see me after this on a live for a while because I have to go get teeth pulled, and they're the rest of my teeth, and I have like 6 of them, and they're all going to be pulled in probably in a couple weeks. And I probably am not going to want to be on camera after that for a while, but I've had a wicked toothache for like 3 weeks, and it just has to be done. So
okay. I have another question. And first of all, I'm sorry about the dental work. I know how what
yeah.
that's like. I was just supposed to be on a live one day, lead live, and my front tooth fell out.
Oh,
And I went to the dentist. I said, I gotta have the tooth today. He, I'll see that I can do it. I said, I gotta have the tooth today. And you know me, I'm relentless. And he said, you sure are the need in the teeth, don't you? I said, I gotta have the tooth today. So I got me a tooth. Um, I want to mention, um, hold on. First of all, I'm gonna ask you a question. I think, okay. Kara said that those of us with deep personalities need people like you in our lives. You ground us and are such a gift. You are seen, heard, and very much appreciated. And you need to know that. And then
you.
Ellen said, it does not matter. You can't diamond paint. You support the diamond painting community with your gorgeous work.
Thank you.
And that is true. Now, I have a question. You had mentioned in your therapy that you do EMDR, or you did. Now, first of all, do you still do that, or you did do that?
No, I did it while I was in therapy.
Oh, that's all. So, could you tell us what that is a little bit about that?
I can't tell you what EMDR stands for. Eve is going to have to do that, but I can tell you what I did. Um, Usually, the therapist has a light bar that's, I don't know, I guess it's about 2.5 or 3 feet long. And there's lights that go back and forth across that.
Mm-hmm.
And you can watch that and do it. There's also, you can do it with headphones that go from one side to the other, the sound. And you can do it with these like vibrating things that you hold in your hands. And the vibration goes from one side to the other and back and forth. And that's what I did, the hand ones. And then the therapist probably asked me about something, and then I would just talk about whatever came to my head. And I don't know how long those sessions lasted, maybe like, I don't know, 20 minutes, maybe. I can't remember. But it definitely worked for me. And it worked with something else. I had a really close friend that one day just decided that I couldn't be in her life anymore. And it almost destroyed me. I would say there were times that I was probably suicidal. And this went on for years. She just wouldn't see me. And if I did, there were a couple times I did see her in the food store, and she would tell me that it's nothing I did. She can't talk about it, but she will soon. And soon just never happened. And through EMDR, I was able to get over that. And that was a really big deal for me. That was something that was just so heavy for me to carry around, that, this person that I love so much just one day decided I couldn't be in her life anymore. And I don't know why.
You know what? I understand that. I've had that happen, and I still don't understand that, I have some comments here.
Okay.
First of all, EMDR is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. It's a form of psychotherapy that is recommended treatment for post-traumatic stress disorder. And Dixie said they rework your brain so that you can have the thought, but not physically and mentally relive it.
Yep.
And Anita said she had friends like that, and why need enemies when you can have people like that? And that's true. And Dixie said PTSD, you get stuck in flashback memories, and it doesn't feel like the past. It is like you're living it again, fresh now and again. So is that how you feel? And
That's how I felt.
it is.
Anytime I told the story of finding out I was adopted, I would be reliving it.
Julie. Okay. And can you tell us what that did to you? And like some of the things that.
I think it just kept reinforcing the shame that I felt.
Okay.
So, yeah, it just kept reinforcing that.
Okay. And the bullying. Just how bad did it get? And I'm not asking you to disclose anything you're not comfortable with. Just
It's really hard because I think that at a certain point, even if somebody wasn't really trying to bully me, but just trying to, like, anytime somebody questioned my gender, they weren't necessarily making fun of me, but that's what it felt like to me. Or, anytime anybody ever asked me about my faith, it just, like, the shame was just so bad. I couldn't, it just all seemed like bullying to me. But I know when I was younger, kids are mean.
kids are mean.
I always say the worst thing for kids is other kids.
Yeah.
And because that was certainly true in my life. And I grew up hating kids. And never wanted them, never wanted to be around them, still don't. There's been the occasional exception here and there, but for the most part, we have cats. And they are our children.
Okay, let me ask you about, you said that you would self-cut. You would self-cut yourself.
Yeah.
Did it ever get so bad that you needed to have intense treatment? And I mean, like, go to the hospital and really.
Not from cutting, no.
Not from cutting.
No, but, when I burned my hand, yeah, I was at the hospital.
Right. Okay. That's what I was asking. Now, let's go to your eye condition. Can you tell us about that? When did that become a problem?
Well, I was diagnosed, I don't know, somewhere around 97, I think, 1997. I was working at a hospital. I was a unit secretary, as was Eve. We were cute. We had the same color hair. We wore spiral tie dyes and little blue jackets to work. But, um, and that's where I was first diagnosed with it, with macular degeneration. But my eyesight has been bad. I mean, it was a slow progression from the time I was 9, until the present. Uh, and I would say up until about 2 years ago, it really wasn't that bad. Like I could still see the TV. Um, I could see the computer screen. I could see the phone. And then all of a sudden, it just really got a lot worse. So,
Okay.
often when we're watching a live, sometimes we have 4 different devices on because we've got it on the TV, I've got it on my phone, on my tablet, Eve might have it on her phone or her tablet, just, so I can see what's going on. Like I can't see anything on the screen that I'm looking at.
Okay. Så det gäller inte att det idag. I can tell you the lead is still coming. I mean, you're so left. And I want to note that he did say that your therapist does recommend EMDR, make sure they're trained and certified. And I've heard that too. I have a cousin that is going through that. She had a traumatic experience. I had to ask her about it though, because if she wants to tell me, she will. And Shay had a question, and then I'll get that to your eye condition. Shay wants to know, did it bother you or Eve? And Eve did answer the question. Did it bother you when someone drank alcohol during lunch?
No, not at all.
Okay.
I mean, I can, I've gone out to dinner with people that drink, I don't want it.
You don't want it. Okay. So
No, it's been 42 years since I had any alcohol, so no, I don't want it.
Congratulations. I'm so proud of you. I hope you know that. I make it known to her every time we talk how much I love her. I'm so proud of her. And she's protected of me. I'm very protective of her. I have worked so hard on this life to make sure that you feel as comfortable and safe as you possibly can, because I know you'd never told your story.
Right.
And I want to thank you for trusting me again in my team.
And I do. I definitely do.
So that makes me feel good, Kathy. And you can always come to me with anything. And I wanted to ask you about your eye condition.
Okay.
How does that affect your daily life?
Well, generation is you lose the center of your vision. So one of the things that I absolutely cannot see is people's faces.
Okay.
And that's really hard for me because I can be with a bunch of people I know, but if they don't tell me who they are and they just come up to me and start talking to me, I don't necessarily know who they are. It's, Eve was putting makeup on my face and she's like, do this with your face. And I'm like, I can't see you. I don't know what you're doing. I can't, really see the TV anymore. So mostly I just listen to it. And I tend to listen to the same stuff over and over and over. Like there's a bunch of shows on serial killers that I've probably run through like 9 seasons of that like 10 times in a year. Or I'll get Eve is happy that I gave up on Murder, She Wrote. She was never happy with that. And it's just easier for me to listen to stuff that I already know what it looks like.
Right. So
it's hard. Reading is very difficult for me. I think it's because partially it's my vision, because I have to blow things up really big to be able to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But also, I was diagnosed with ADD when I was 50.
Okay.
And it is so bad now. I have a very short attention span. Usually if I read, I can't read more than like 2 paragraphs at a time. And I believe that it's because of my constant use of a phone and a tablet. The going from one thing to another, to another, to another, I think has really hurt me. And I think I really do need medication. I was on medication at one time, and then my insurance wouldn't pay for it, so I just stopped taking it. But I really would like to do that again. And of course, my lack of vision makes the resin stuff very difficult. And I think what we're realizing is that he really does need to be more involved in some of the pouring. Like just putting stuff in the pressure pot, the rack has to be level or the stuff comes out uneven. So she has to do that. I have some leveling boards. So I'm hoping that'll help me. If I put stuff on there, it's already going to be level. Yeah, it does. It makes the resin work difficult, but I'm trying, and I love it. It's been an expensive hobby. That $70 set of dice that I couldn't buy now is probably cost about $2,500. So, and I still don't have a decent set of dice.
Okay, let me ask you about that. But before I do, Shay wants to know, do you drop on a certain day for your trays at like a certain day or a month?
No. And we haven't really gotten that together yet because we're like operating in such a small space.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept making stuff and we had nowhere to put it. And then we have so many oopsie trays. And then we sold a lot of that stuff. But I'm not making things as fast as I was in the beginning because I didn't like that. It's not what I want to do.
Okay.
I don't want to be a factory. I want to be an artist. And so things are a little slower right now. And also, Eve will tell me one day, you have to work on the Mary Morales stuff. Or the next day she'll be like, you have to work on Mia's wizard thing. Or you have to do Christmas presents for this person or that person. And I'm like, I come back here. If she's not here, I come back here. And by the time I get from the living room into here, I forget what I'm supposed to do. So, yeah.
Well, you don't do customs anymore, is that right? You don't do customs?
I prefer not to.
Okay.
Yeah, I really prefer not to.
Well, Dixie says your perseverance through your creativity that sounds joyous and frustrating is amazing. And they look phenomenal. And they do. You
Thank
did beautiful work.
you.
Um, my question is, let's go back to the D&Ds.
Okay.
How did you get involved with that? And are you still active with that?
Well, I can tell you exactly. It was July 3rd. I think I can't remember if it was the US Open or Wimbledon we were watching. And I saw something on TV about this game, Dungeons and Dragons. And I had never heard of it before. And I shut the TV off and took my friend, and we went directly to the toy store, and I bought the beginner's box set. And I brought it home and I read it all, and I thought it was the coolest thing in the world, but I could not figure out how to play. But I kept buying the adventures and reading them, and buying all the books and reading them. And finally, my group of friends that I used with, somebody said, well, my brother knows how to play. And we were like, okay, good. Maybe he'll, be the dungeon master for us. And he agreed. And he came over and he brought this adventure with him. And we were like 6 people that had never, ever played the game before. And I would say 5 of them had no clue anything about the game. And he started taking us through this adventure for like really high level characters, and ended up killing us all within the first hour. So that didn't work. So then I said, well, I guess I'm going to have to see about being the dungeon master. And everybody made characters, and we started playing, and I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. But we told a story, and we had a good time. And years later, we were still talking about some of the stuff that went on in that game. And that's really what it's all about. It's about telling a story. And the dungeon master is just there to be kind of like a referee and kind of sometimes move the story along, but it's the players that really tell the story. And right now, somebody mentioned to us that they thought that the hobby store down the street they had D&D games there. So I went and I found out about it, and I started going there, and I've been going ever since. And that was about, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago. And I'm in 2 separate games. One is stalled at the moment, and the other one is moving forward at a rapid pace. And I'm supposed to write a background for my character, and I was supposed to have it like 2 weeks ago, and I still haven't figured out how to do it. But I love it. I love it so much.
How often do you play?
Usually once a week. We're always off the second Saturday, so 3 times a month. But I would play every day if I could.
Every day. That's it. And after you film something, connect to their new Julie's. And
It does. And it's so much easier now because there's apps on the phone, and all you do is press buttons. People don't even really roll dice anymore. Everybody brings the dice, but most people just roll on their computers and tablets.
So what would you rather do? Use the dice or use the computer?
I use the computer. I use the tablet.
Yeah.
But I always bring my dice with me.
You do.
Yes.
So, how long did the Dungeons and Dragons take?
We usually play for about 3.5 to 4 hours. That's pretty typical amount of time for people to play in one session.
So this is like a little creative outlet kind of thing.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is.
Now, I would imagine that I know you said you take public transportation,
No, medical transportation.
medical. Okay.
Yeah, I still use a transport chair when I go out usually.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and usually, Eve has to put it in the car and take it out of the car and push me around. Um, I have gotten better. There's some places we go, like if I know we're going out to dinner and we're just going to walk in a restaurant, I can do that now without the chair.
Mm-hmm.
But to go to this doctor's office, like I could walk in, but then once you get in there, you never know where you're going because there's such a maze behind the door, and they've got you like, going all around to get you to the room that they want you in.
Mm-hmm.
So I really have to take the chair when I go there. So they come and pick me up in the chair and take me. It worked out really well today because everybody was running early.
Okay. I have a question that might seem silly, that I run into this problem, so I just wonder if you do. Sometimes you have to go to the doctor and you have to fill out some paperwork. Difficult for you?
Impossible for me.
It is. So did
Yeah.
Eve do the
Yeah.
that?
Eve would do it. Sometimes Jennifer, my friend Jennifer, takes us,
Mm-hmm.
and she could do it. Even like today, they want you to sign the little screen,
Mm-hmm.
and it's very hard for me to write because I can't. Sometimes if I put something on the counter and my face is right in it, and I'm like trying to write my name or something, but it's hard.
Well, you do know, I don't know about there in New Jersey, that in Kentucky, as long as you did an X or anything, they count that as your signature.
Yeah.
It's not seem silly that when it affects you, it's not silly. So that's
Try to at least get the K right. But a lot of time Eve signs stuff for me.
yeah. So what keeps you doing now? What makes you want to stay sober? What do you focus on most?
Mostly I focus on what I'm buying for the resin works.
Okay.
That's gotten to be a problem.
How so?
Every day packages come and I have nowhere to put the stuff. The other day I took all my molds into the living room, and I probably have like 50 pounds of molds, silicone molds.
Okay.
And I sorted them into bags. Like these are flowers, these are Christmas ornaments, and the tray molds, I have to replace them frequently. The regular size trinket trays, those molds do not last long at all, so I have to constantly keep buying those.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a ton of stuff that I've never even tried yet. Even I did a project together past few days, and it's the first time we ever made one of these, and she mailed it out yesterday, I think. So somebody is going to be getting it. I'm not going to say who.
Ooh, oh wow.
It'll be a surprise. It'll definitely be a surprise.
That will not drive me crazy at all. Yeah, I know it will.
Well, I'll tell you this much, Tammy. It's not for you, so don't worry about it.
No, it's still under the credit. That's okay.
You are getting a package, but it's not that one.
Well, whoever it's for, they're gonna love it. That I didn't know. Now,
And it's something that I started thinking about making this probably in July. I saw something and I knew I wanted to make it for this person, so we did.
wow. Well, okay. Before I'm gonna ask you about your original work. But I do have a couple questions I did want to ask you about, you know. Um, First of all, you said that you had an addiction to people.
Yes.
You still have that, or do you feel like that you don't
I
anymore?
I feel like I feel like the situation with my chiropractor kind of cured me of that.
Okay.
Like it doesn't happen anymore.
Okay. Okay. Now, because of your vision, your poor vision, and getting around, is there any time that you feel like you don't feel as comfortable going out in public alone? For instance, shopping or to the doctor or to the grocery store or whatever.
Well, a really sad thing for me was I loved doing grocery shopping. Loved it. And
You're the first ever heard said that.
and Eve hates it. So for a few years, well, up until like 2 years ago, up until the pandemic, we were going to the grocery store every week.
Mm-hmm.
But even then, I was starting to have a hard time seeing things.
Mm-hmm.
And now I've gotten to where if I'm with someone, like if I'm with Eve or Jennifer, and they walk away from me,
Mm-hmm.
I can get a little panicky because I can't see them.
What do you do to kind of calm yourself?
Um, well, it's like I know they aren't going to leave me there,
Right.
but and I don't know why that happens. I don't know. It's just one of those things about not being able to see. Like, even though I can walk more, things I get. I don't like curbs, and I have a hard time with them because I can't see them. I don't have the depth perception, and I always worry that I'm going to fall over something because I don't see it
Mm-hmm.
when I'm walking.
Well, I did that because I I I can see, but at the same time, I can get teeny if say I'm in a mall and I can't find who
Yeah,
it is I'm with because
but they're not going to leave you there.
right, I know they're
Yeah,
not gonna leave me there. So I did get that. And did you want to know how the breathing and the redness doing? How's that doing?
the breathing is
Mm-hmm.
better. I've been using a mask
Good.
almost all the time, almost.
Almost.
But the rash, it's been a little better this past week. I still
Mm-hmm.
have it. I still have like alligator skin on my forearms and around the back of my neck. But,
Yeah.
I use as much protection as I can. I started like cutting the ends off of knee high socks and putting those on my arms before I put my regular sleeve protectors on. And
Mm-hmm.
I've been double gloving. I've been wearing the mask. I wear I cut up a pair of pajama pants, and I have that pulled over my head and around my neck. And it has been better.
That's creative. I wouldn't have thought to do that at all.
But I think I really need a hazmat suit.
I would like to see you in your little get up. If that ever gonna happen, probably not. I don't know. She'll let me see that.
Uh,
What kind of thing do you make? And what do you not like to make? And Dixie said she's glad you're taking precautions, as am I.
Well, what do I like to make? I poured some other Christmas ornaments. They're not the same as the ones we had for sale on the site.
Mm-hmm.
They're different, and they're more like, if you've seen any of the blooms that I do in some of the trays and some of the cover minders, they're like that. I don't know if you can see them if I show them on the.
Let me let you dither. Lee, can you let your dither, or Lee, are you behind there, or Dorda?
I don't know if you can see this.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, look at it. Ooh, that's pretty.
So they're more like that. And I really like making those.
That's beautiful.
And what else? Also, I'm making coasters that are just white. And then when they're cured, you take alcohol ink and alcohol and you blow it on the coaster, and they come out really cool. Eva's going to look for one. They're on the tray underneath.
That's what I was going to ask. Can you show us some things that you've made?
Yeah. Eva's getting them.
I'm getting a glove first.
And maybe if you can you show us kind of your work area? Is that possible?
Yeah, she'll pick up the laptop and show you. It's very tight over there.
Yeah, because I don't want to end the live until we see, your work area.
She's in the resin works looking for this stuff, and she's only 3 feet away from me.
Here, I'm right here, and the resin works is right here. So.
Okay. Lee wants to know how you do what you do so perfectly with your vision, so poor.
There's a lot of not perfect that comes out. A lot.
So practice.
So this is one of the blown, these are like the blown ink.
Those are so pretty.
And I would
made her write her no by until January, so.
I'm really trying to get like the Margaret Morales watercolor look in something, and these were kind of starting to work out pretty well. So I'd really like to do more of those.
What are those? The trays, those are beautiful.
Those are coasters. Well,
you just said that.
I did these today, and they're not finished yet, but this is like just the first stage of making one of the ones. They look like they have holes in them when they're done.
We did one Angel won one on, and we were on her live, and we told her to put her name in, and she won one.
Yeah, so I saw that, Lucky Duck.
We have some others similar.
So we have, originally we were supposed to do a collaboration with Leopard Leatherworks on the Inside Glittery Eyes tray. Mm-hmm. So we have all these koi of various sizes that I keep trying to put in trays, and I keep putting them in upside down.
Wait,
well, what I tell you about that? These die when they turn upside down when they die, so that's okay.
That's true. Here's a dead koi. Here's a dead koi tray.
I like the dead koi. Ooh, that is cool. Ooh, I love that size.
This is a new size.
This is a mold that we have now, and the sides are much taller. They're a little deeper.
Ooh, I need one of those. I love those.
I knew you would.
They're going to be
I need it
probably
all.
more
Yeah.
of these are going to be on the more of these will be on the way.
Yeah, I'll make more of those. I like those.
I love those. So you're not doing that collab anymore. Are you sponsoring any other event?
Well, we were sponsoring the Mary Morales event.
Mhm.
And then things went kind of bad here. I wasn't doing well because, my doctor put me on prednisone for the rash.
Right.
And I was also on Benadryl like around the clock. And the prednisone made me nuts. And I was surprised because the last time I took it when I had COVID, I took it for 2 weeks and I was fine. And this time, I was nuts. And I knew I was nuts and there was nothing I could do about it. So, things just kind of weren't good there for a little while. And
we're still going to do something for the grand prize in that event.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will get something together to go in a grand prize package for that, for sure.
Okay.
And then, I want to do something for Mia's event with the Wizards because, Wizards are a big part of Dungeons and Dragons, a big part.
They are.
And then the Reagan-thon, and the Asian event.
Yeah, you're long.
So, there's always something. Every day he says, work on this, work on that, work on this. And I'm like, So,
well, you do fantastic work and you are a phenomenal human being.
Thank you. He wants to show the.
I'm going to show you
He's
the
going to show you the
resin
resin works.
So,
behind us, you're seeing way behind us. You're seeing our kitchen behind piles of molds and things. And as I come around here, let me get me out of the way. As I come around here, you're seeing pressure pot. Let me unplug the laptop. That'll make this easier. You're seeing the pressure pot. There it is. Pressure pot, air compressor, and then as you come around, there's Kathy's work table. And you're seeing all kinds of dies and equipment, different tools. There's a heat gun and a big debubbler, and then there's this big rack full of stuff. Way down below are all the bottles of resin, and then over here are the pigment pastes and the mica powders. Guess where some of those are going on my canvas with the pink lines. And then here is some of our shipping stuff, and then up here, this stuff you're seeing here is actually used to be my work desk only, and now it's shipping station, which I do. So you kind of got the picture. We're in a pretty small area. Let me put you back here so you can see Cat. Lots of movement.
You've done excellent use. It's a small area.
It's a very small area. Like if I'm standing here, I'm touching my desk over here. And then all I got to do is go here to touch Kathy's desk.
Wow.
So it's tight. I'm going to go back out there. She can continue with you.
Okay. So how long does it take to make a particular item, or does it vary?
Well, some things, like if I'm making a tray that's just glitter, that's just one pour, put it in the pot, and the next day it's done, pretty much. I usually have to sand the edges a little, and then it's done. Some things can take longer if I put stones around the rims of the trays.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm starting to use like rose quartz and turquoise and things like that to put around the edge. If they have a decal in them, it takes longer. depends. Like the pen holders are usually just a 1-day pour.
Okay.
My mold for the round pen holder, I had to throw that out and I had to buy a new one. I'm waiting for that to come.
But and I did that she had one of your first works and she
Yeah,
loved it. And
absolutely.
I
I
did
poured 2 coasters that day, and she has one of them, and I have the other one. And as bad as the one she has is, mine is worse.
well, I know that she had one of your first works, and then not long after that, you sent me some stuff to show, and I love it. I use it all. So, besides trays and ornaments and coasters, do you make anything else?
We're starting to make bigger trays. We live in a town that is right next to a town that is a very Orthodox Jewish community, and it's a big community.
Mhm.
And there's talk of making these challah boards, which are like cutting boards for their bread. And I would need a really good mold to do it. And some of them are big. Like I've looked at them on Etsy and stuff, and they can be as much as like 17 inches long. So we've talked about that. I don't know if that'll ever happen, but they sell for a lot of money. And really, if all I do is make enough money to cover my resin for the month, in the beginning, though, I was going through like 4 gallons of resin in less than 2 weeks. So now I've slowed down some. I've also learned when I get too much ready at one time, then I'm like rushing at the end to get stuff, just throw it in a mold before it starts curing. I don't really want to do that.
Well,
I'm working on a Wicked tray.
oh, wow.
Get the colors right.
Fantastic. I already love it. Don't even have to see that. I already love it.
Because I love Wicked. I've loved Wicked for so long.
I know you sent me the audio books, and yes, I am gonna listen to
I
that.
read the book a long time ago, and I never got to see the show on Broadway. I really wish I had with the original cast. I know the music. I've read all the books in the Wicked series. There's 4 of them, and I love them. And Eve said the other day, I think we're going to go to the movies. And even I haven't been to the movies in decades. So I'm really kind of excited about that. And hopefully it's big enough that I can see it.
Well, I had some comments to read to you. First of all, Berta said she needs a pen holder for her 1 pen. And then Helen wanted to know that it's very nice of you to sponsor people's events. And she said she loved the tray that she won in Angels' Lives. And wait a minute. Oh no, the chat jumped. Hold on. She does. And my chat jumped. Just a minute. Okay. He said, I'm not going to pronounce this right, but she said, ain't no challah that girls. Did I say that right? Or no? Challah.
What?
H-A-L-I-A-H. What is that, Eve?
I know.
They tell me it was, I don't know what I mispronounced that, Eve. You need to come out here and tell me what I did wrong. Hollis. Ain't no holodeck girl. Ah, gotcha. Ain't no holodeck girl. That's the saying. I got that. I got it.
You don't have to. She got it. All right.
Yeah, I
Don't
got it.
call the black girl.
Yeah, I thought it. That's not what it says on the screen. Um, and then she said Diaper did resin project, and she said it is hard. And I so okay. One last question about your dice.
Okay.
Had you made any? Whoa, that's it. Had you made any since then? When was the last time you made them?
The last that was like 2 weeks ago. I have a lot of sets. The thing is, dice really need to be hand polished,
Mm-hmm.
and it's time consuming. It's difficult for me because I can't really see the numbers.
Mm-hmm.
And after you polish them, you have to ink them. And so that you use acrylic paint to go inside the numbers. And, I have a hard time with that. So I tried to get Eve to do that, and that didn't work out well. So it's because of the mold I have, the numbers aren't very deep, and they really need to be, because by the time you finish polishing them, you've pretty much polished them off, especially when you can't see what you're doing.
Right.
So I'm hoping the new set, the new mold is going to be a lot better. But I have a ton of sets of dice here. They're just not finished. And I don't know if they ever will be.
Well, but I just didn't know that. I'm so proud of you, and I thank you for being here today. I really do. I know it wasn't easy for you, and I hope that we've made you feel safe. That was my main job. That's all I wanted was for you to feel safe.
Thank you. I feel safe.
Good. You know, you have a lot of friends here in this community, and we all love you.
And I hope that they all know that, when I call somebody family, it's real. It's very real to me. And I take it very seriously. And that I never want to do anything to hurt anybody in my family. And I am very protective. So
You are my family. I hope you know that. You need my family. That's how I think of you. And did you want to know, can you do hold on. Okay. Can you do a number engraving instead?
Yeah, onto the dice.
Yeah.
I can't. I'm sure that people do it because I see, when I'm looking at molds, I see, or dice, you can buy just blank ones with nothing on them. So I'm guessing that people do engrave them themselves, but I certainly can't see to do that.
Okay. Eve wants to say, she said, Kat, you did such a great job today. I'm so incredibly proud of you. And you know I love you more than I loved it and even I knew loved it.
I do.
Yeah. Well,
I could use a little less luggage, though.
I can only imagine. Eat lots of luggage now. Well, I want to thank you again for being here today, and you're always welcome on my line anytime. And I do want to have you back. And I do want to remind everybody before we go of the Christmas premieres that are coming up I will not be doing live next week because the premiere that are going to be playing, and they start on Christmas Eve at 5 a.m. maybe, and they go through. I saw that there are 3 days on the 27th. So my premiere is in Central Time. It's 11 p.m. on Christmas night. For Eastern Time, it's midnight on Boxing Day. And the person before me is Diamond Paint with Dave. And his time is 10 o'clock Central or 11 o'clock Eastern. And the one after me is eluded me. Just a second. Right? Christmas Day, Boxing Day. Okay. After me is the House of Miscellanea, Naomi. And she is either midnight on Central Time or 1 a.m. Eastern. And I'm going to encourage everyone to talk. And the idea is the people that doesn't have family that you will always have company. That's the idea. I watch them every year and they are fantastic. And Dixie wants to know that your openness and journey is inspiring. And thank you, Ted.
Thank you.
And I want to thank you guys. Kathy did a Christmas premiere. Yes. That's what Dixie did. Kathy did a Christmas premiere. I want to thank you guys for being here. I want to thank my mods for always being on stage, off stage. You know, I had a fantastic group of mods, and I love them all. They're all my very dear friends. So, on that note, Kathy, is there anything you would like to say? Any words?
Well, I'll just be seeing you all on the next live. And I'm sure that over the holidays, we'll be talking a lot on all the premieres and stuff. I
Absolutely.
know we've got that whole schedule set up. So,
yeah. And at the end of my time at midnight on Boxing Day or 11 p.m. on Christmas Day.
Definitely be there.
Thank you. I worked hard on it, and I worked on it with my niece. And, it's very touching on me. Oh, one question I did want to ask, and Rick said, I'm not crazy. I've been in a very bad mood for 40 years. Rich is a little crazy, I think. In a good way. If someone wants to buy something from you, how do they tell you? Is it through PayPal or?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Eve, could you put in the chat the email address? That way, if someone sees something they want to buy, then they can, pay you. And I want to remind everyone that it's a hard time for everyone sometimes, especially the holidays. Okay, Dixie said you send a deal. Well, okay. Never mind what I just said. I never gotten a deal, so I mean, I don't think that's a show when she first started, but I did buy something and then it turned out that's a whole new story. But I do want to say that if you did find yourself alone and even watching this from years, you still feel like you need a friend, I'm here for you. My email address, contact info on social media, email, it's all link tree. So don't ever feel alone. I'm here with you. And just remember to love yourself and love others and let everyone love you. And together you will make it through the hard time. Because I always say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I really do believe that. Kathy is living proof.
Yeah.
And you are an inspiration to all of us. I want you to know.
Thank you.
And on that
And
note,
you all inspire me.
oh, well, we love you. We love you so much. And don't ever forget that.
I love you too.
Did anyone have any last words or questions for Kathy before I'll let you go? We're coming up on 2 hours here, and I know people have things to do, and I know she appreciates you being here.
I hope Eve ordered dinner, but I know she didn't.
I didn't either, kind of thing.
Not her strong suit.
Not either. I forget to eat. And Lee makes fun of me. He said, "How do you forget to eat?" I said, "It's easy." But Eve said, "Let her know what you want, and then I'll send you an invoice for takeout.
Yeah.
Other arrangement can be made if you don't have takeout." Well, last word from me. What's for dinner?
Yes.
It's just joking. I'm ordering now. All right, everyone. I want you to have a good evening. Thank you for being here. And I want you to know that I love and appreciate each and every one of you. Kathy, I'm going to let you say your goodbyes and then I will. So, do you want to say your goodbyes or are you good?
Just that I love everybody and thank you for accepting me into your diamond painting community. Non-diamond painter.
Well, thank you for having us. You're a diamond painter. Even though you're not, you are. Yes.
Okay.
All right, guys. I love you, and I will see you in my next live or my next video. And again, I will not do live next week, but in the new year, January 2nd, I will be live with a special guest, and I'll announce who that is later. All right, guys. Have a good night, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Bye.